expectations from the Japanese fans. Sammy Sosa was counted on to deliver, and deliver he did against the Yomiuri Giants. Manny Ramirez was the man of the hour versus Japan's All-Stars as he powered his team to victory with 2 monster home runs. Can you say sayonara, baby? In Game 2, the Major League Stars continue their power surge, but the Japanese Stars are determined to prove themselves against the best players in the world. From the Tokyo Dome in Tokyo, Japan, Fox Sports Net is proud to present Game 2 of the 1998 Major League Baseball Japan All-Star Series as the Major League All-Stars take on the Japan All-Stars. And hi, everybody. I'm Steve Physiak. This is the Psycho Man, Steve Lyons. The Major League Baseball All-Stars have really been impressive against a group of Japanese All-Stars, and they've done it winning the first 2 games in really resounding fashion.
Well, with power, like we said before, the long ball and dominating pitching. Manny Ramirez, we talked about his underrated power, the fact that he can go to all fields, and the fact that he's a very young player. Still doesn't get the publicity that he deserves, but he showed it the other night. 2 big home runs to power this offense, and once again, the pitching dominating. These guys are unable to score runs against the Major League Baseball All-Star team that has come over here, and that's what we pretty much expected. As we talked before, these guys want to win these games, even though they're not in the best of shape. They want to go out there and prove that they're the dominant baseball players. You know, Mark McGwire had the incredible year in Major League Baseball, but do you think Sammy Sosa is getting to that next level, and also Manny Ramirez getting to the MVP type level in the American League? I think we saw a year this past season with the home run numbers going so high, with Sosa with 66 and McGwire with 70 home runs. That's so incredible. I don't think we'll see quite those numbers next year. I think the possibility of injury can come back into play. Mark McGwire was as healthy as he's ever been in his career. Sammy Sosa had a dream season. But guys like Ramirez and guys like Greg Vaughn can sneak up and get into that upper echelon of home runs, just like Vaughn did in this past season with 50 home runs. So you're still going to see guys hit the ball out of the yard. Well, Japan has a great pitcher going tonight in Kenshin Kawakami. He won 14 games, but he's a rookie going against Sosa and Ramirez. You think he might have some nerve? I think he's going to have a little butterflies, and he's never seen the type of competition that he's going to see tonight. He might be a little shaky early on. It is Kawakami. We'll see how he does early against Sosa and Ramirez and the Major League All-Stars. It's coming your way next on Fox Sports Net.
Welcome back to Fox Sports Net and our coverage of the 1998 Major League Baseball Japan All-Star Series. Fans in the Tokyo Dome are lined up early to see the second All-Star Classic, as well as seeing the man who finished second to Mark McGwire in home runs in the major leagues this year. McGwire had 70. Sammy Sosa had 66. And here comes the great Chicago Cub with his wife Sonia at his side. This couple did so much for the city of Chicago and their homeland, the Dominican Republic. But there are a lot of patriots here pulling for the Japanese All-Stars, as well as seeing the best in baseball. And here is one of the very best in Sammy Sosa. As he takes the field heading out towards right field, you can see he has 2 baseballs in his glove that he'll toss into the stands for souvenirs to these fans of Japan. So we will come right back with the starting lineups of this classic with the Major League Baseball All-Stars and the Japan All-Stars right after this. Is at second base. Matsui is at 34+ home runs the last 3 years. Kiyohara over 1,000 career RBIs. Karaoka. Eto will be at third base. Tanashigi will be catching. And Matsui was the 98 Pacific League MVP and a talented shortstop. And here is Rick Helling, who won 20 games for the Texas Rangers this past season. The kid from Devil's Fork, North Dakota. Defensively, Garrett Anderson in left, Devon White in center field, Sammy Sosa in right, Castilla, Ordonez, Vina, and Delgado are on the infield. Jason Kendall will catch Rick Helling. Ordonez, he's the youngster from Cuba. He's won a Gold Glove in the National League the last 2 seasons. And we are ready to play baseball. And here is the first pitch by Rick Helling, and it is strike 1.
What a breakout year for Rick Helling it was this year.
throwing a lot more strikes than he had in the past. Dick Bosman got a hold of him there, and that Texas Rangers pitching coach made him throw the ball over the plate and let hitters get themselves out sometimes.
And Suzuki still does not have that great stroke going that has about a .350 career average. He is simply known as Ichiro. And Ichiro Suzuki pops up to the second baseman to start this ball game. Now Takuro Ishii, the second baseman. 7 home runs for Ishii this year. Actually played shortstop for the Yokohama Bay Stars, but here with these All-Stars playing second base because of Matsui, who is the shortstop, and he is the best defensive player in all of Japan.
Yeah, they try to compare Matsui to Ray Ordonez, the same kind of flair and style out at short, and make sure that Ishii moves over to second base.
We saw him make a couple of nifty plays in Game 1 of this All-Star series. Once turning a double play, the other time going deep into the hole. Ishii takes one outside. 2 balls and 1 strike. Helling's control was so much better. He was drafted by the Rangers, then went to Florida, and then came back to Texas. Fouled off.
He was real happy to get back to the Texas Rangers. You look at the numbers ERA-wise, 4.41 isn't that impressive with the 20 wins. That Rangers lineup scored a lot of runs. They were very, when Helling would give up runs, the Rangers would go out there and score a lot of runs for him. So you win a lot of 7-6 ball games that way.
A 4.41 earned run average, and his record was 20-7. And high fastballs fouled straight back by Ishii. It was Helling. It was Aaron Seeley. Their 1-2 stoppers. Meantime, the Chicago Cubs made it to the playoffs because of the play of Sammy Sosa. And that ball stroked well towards right field. But right at Sammy, and he is there for the putout. 2 gone.
That's very important for a pitcher to get a taste of winning. Before this season, his career record was 11-16. He had never won more than 5 games in a season. This year, 20-7. That'll give you a little bit of confidence going into the next year.
Well, here's a guy who can really hit. Takanori Suzuki hit .337 this year. Suzuki hitting in the 3 spot. The other Suzuki, Ichiro, was hitting in the 3 spot in our first All-Star Classic against the Major League Baseball All-Stars. And Suzuki sends it deep towards left field. Racing back Garrett Anderson. It is by him up against the wall. 2 bases for Takanori Suzuki.
Oh, watch Suzuki on the inside-out swing on a ball that's down and into him. This is an excellent swing. Look at the bat head breaks through the zone. He just powers this ball to the opposite field. His .337, as you mentioned, Steve, won the Central League batting title both in 1997 and 98 this past season. There's a pretty good indication of why.
Well, here is the power of the Japan All-Stars and Hideki Matsui. We showed you in our lineup graphic that the last 3 years he has hit at least 34 home runs, hit 34 this year, and drove in 100. And this is a big player. He is 6'1", about 205 pounds, has terrific power, great bat speed, and very quick as well because they play him in center field. There is Sosa. Devon White, the real flyer in center field, the Arizona Diamondbacks, but he's a free agent. They're getting a lot of interest for Devon White. Further on the West Coast, I understand the Los Angeles Dodgers are very interested in White.
That's a guy who pretty much resurrected his career. Devon White had his best numbers offensively this year with the 22 home runs since his rookie season way back in 1987.
Now Helling wants to talk with his catcher, Jason Kendall. Helling, of course, an American League pitcher. Kendall, a National League catcher. But Jason and Rick got together in Florida when the club had a chance to work out together for about a 10-day period.
It takes a little while to get things together, especially when you have a guy on second base and you're not used to the same signal cadence. But I would think 1's a fastball, 2's a curve in any language, any league.
Well, maybe he doesn't want that man at second base giving it up. Here is Matsui sending a ground ball to Fernando Vina. That will do it. We'll head to the bottom of the first, looking for a first run.
You know, when you've been doing this as long.
Japan. The All-Stars from Japan have one base hit. Now it's a look at the Major League Baseball All-Stars starting lineup. And they will lead things off with their excellent second baseman from the Milwaukee Brewers, Fernando Vina, batting second. Jason Kendall of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Then is Carlos Delgado of the Blue Jays. Sammy Sosa, 66 home runs in 98, up 30 from 97. Manny Ramirez had 2 home runs in Game 1 of the series. Vinny Castilla has been a monster for the Colorado Rockies the last 3 years. Garrett Anderson of the Anaheim Angels, Devon White, and Ray Ordonez. And there is the young player from the Chinichi Dragons, Kenshin Kawakami. Throws a fastball, a curve, a forkball, won 14 games this year as a rookie.
What a year this kid had. He was the Rookie of the Year of the Central League with 124 strikeouts in 161 innings. Doesn't throw all that hard. He's kind of a junk baller, but hits his spots pretty well most of the time.
Well, he hit a spot for Fernando Vina on the very first pitch. He laces it into right field for a base hit. And Kawakami had admitted yesterday before the first All-Star game that he did have some nerves facing this All-Star team.
He should be nervous. I mean, you're talking about a kid who comes into the league and pitches very well in the Japanese leagues and now has to pitch against the best of the best in the Major League All-Star Series here. I would be very nervous too. And you know, I think, as we said before, he doesn't throw all that hard. He's not going to blow the ball by you, so he has to hit his spots in order to be effective. And if he leaves balls out over the plate against this lineup, he's going to get hammered.
Maybe he was thinking that Fernando Vina would take that first pitch being the leadoff guy, but Fernando took one right down the middle and he just drove it to right.
Fernando says, I'm on vacation. I'm going up hacking.
I don't have Phil Garner telling me to take.
That's right. I left old scrap iron at home for a few days.
Great manager of the Brewers, Kendall. A real dirt dog from the Pittsburgh Pirates, and he laces one to left field. Another fastball up in the strike zone.
So far in this series, I've really been impressed with the difference in the way the ball has just exploded off of the bats of the Major League All-Stars. Look at how quickly he gets his hands through there. That ball could easily have been a jam sandwich ball, but Kendall just pulled his hands in, got the bat head through the hitting zone, and yanked that ball in the left.
But he has left the ball up in the strike zone. First to Vina, now to Kendall. If he makes that mistake against Carlos Delgado, well, Carlos can really hurt him. Delgado with 38 home runs, 115 RBIs for the Toronto Blue Jays, and the heart of that offensive lineup. Carlos takes low and inside, ball 1. There are the power numbers.
Delgado's just so imposing at the plate with the open stance. He looks like he's got everything covered. As a pitcher looking into Carlos Delgado, it looks like, you know, if I go inside on him, he really looks like he could pull the ball on me. If I go away, it looks like with the open stance, he could just step across the plate and hammer a ball into the other gap. It's really impressive at the plate.
There are certain players, just because of their presence and their look of power, that they can scare a pitcher. Delgado is one. Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire, certainly one of those players. Jose Canseco, he used to almost wind up at home plate. And it's one of the reasons I thought he took so many walks.
Yeah, and I think McGwire, more than any other year and any other player this season, had that look of intimidation at the plate. Stood so close to the plate, pulled everything. You couldn't throw a ball away from him because any ball that you tried to get on the outside corner was a strike to him. There's a replay. Good breaking ball down in the dirt. Carlos Delgado goes fishing a little bit.
Well, if he'll throw that on 2-0, will he throw it on 2-1? You bet. But he does not want to miss here. And now he has fallen behind the count. 3-1. Runners on first and second. Vina second base. Kendall at first. Delgado with the count his way. 3 balls, 1 strike. Sammy Sosa on deck, so no rest for Mr. Kawakami.
Kendall hit a pitch that was up in the zone. That was a high changeup that stayed up in the zone.
Up in the strike zone and deep to right field and way out of here.
Sammy Sosa came out before the game throwing balls into the right field stands, and Carlos Delgado threw one out there himself. Except for he did it the right way with a big smile and using his bat. I think Sammy's telling him right now, hey, why don't you bow to the crowd like I did? All right, here we go. This is just a fastball, 3-1 count. You're going to throw a fastball about knee-high, thigh-high to a left-handed hitter, generally better low ball hitters than they are high ball hitters, and boy, that's right into his powerhouse, and he hammered that ball.
Delgado, who hit 38 this past season, just blasts one deep into the seats in right field, and here comes Sammy Sosa. He hit a home run in the very first game over in Japan. It was an exhibition series against the Yomiuri Giants, and Sosa on his first at bat to lead off the second inning just belted one down the line, and it hit the foul pole.
You know, Steve, I think left-handed hitters, even more so than right-handed hitters, if they're thinking dead red in a 3-1 count like Delgado was, you can get out in front of a ball a little bit and still pull it.
Sammy Sosa, deep short. There's the throw. Not held on to, and Sammy Sosa will reach on a base hit. Well, we got our first look at Katsui Matsui, who is the fabulous defender, and he went deep into the hole and had a chance to throw out Sosa, but the first baseman unable to come up with it.
Well, Sammy has great speed. You remember he steals a lot of bases in the previous years, but didn't have to this year. Tough throw and a very tough play right there at first base in order to pick that ball out of the dirt. He wasn't able to make the play.
Let's listen to Mike Hargrove. We have Mike for this series.
You know, big guys like that have that kind of pop. They, you know, they get out there and they
Well, Mike Hargrove obviously talking about the power of Carlos Delgado with one of the Japanese officials sitting right next to him. And now Mike's superstar with his Cleveland Indians, Manny Ramirez, steps to the plate, and what a year he had.
Yeah, I think what Mike Hargrove was talking about was the ability of Delgado to go out, get in front of a pitch on a ball that's tailing away from him a little bit, and just hook the ball into right field. And that's what I was talking about. Lefties do that a little bit better than right-handers. They get out in front. If the ball's tailing away, they can get in front of it anyway and bring the bat head through the zone and just hook the ball out of the park.
We're seeing more left-handers like the ball up in the strike zone.
They're getting better at getting on top of the ball. I think one of the reasons why lefties predominantly are low ball hitters is because a lot of left-handed hitters are still right-handed players, and their dominant hand's on the bottom of the bat. So they're pulling the bat through the zone rather than when you see a right-handed hitter like Manny Ramirez, who's a great high ball hitter. He's right-handed. His right hand is on top of the bat, and he can almost chop down through the strike zone rather than pulling the bat through the strike zone. And that's at least one of my theories as to why I think lefties, if they're right-handed players, are better low ball hitters.
That ball popped up right side. Second baseman calling off the right fielder Suzuki, and it's Ishihi to make the catch for the first out of this first inning. Now batting sixth, Vinny Castilla of the Colorado Rockies, as Kawakami gets his first out after the first 4 Major League Baseball All-Stars rip him. Pitched by Benya Kendall, the home run by Delgado, the infield hit by Sammy Sosa.
You see Kawakami take a little breather right there, a little breath of fresh air after getting an out finally after the first guys came up there and just rocketed him.
Well, he better not get that fastball up to this guy, Castilla. You've got to be almost below the knees to throw a fastball by him. 3 runs already on the Delgado home run to deep right field.
Well, the book on Vinny Castillo is he used to be able to get him out with bad breaking balls away. Because he plays in Colorado now, he's a much better hitter the opposite field because of that jet stream up in right center field at Coors Field. It made him a better player, made him go the other way, but you've got to get him to chase bad pitches if you want to get him out on a consistent basis.
Well, Kawakami just got a good curveball over to even the count at 1-1 and comes in with the fastball. Here's a kid only 23 years of age. And I'm sure Major League scouts have been watching him closely. Hideo Nomo obviously had to take a year off, retired, and then signed with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Hideki Irabu with the New York Yankees. Shigetoshi Hasegawa has been very pleasant surprise in middle relief for the Anaheim Angels. So Japan has been sending pitchers over to the States, but they still have not sent a position player over yet, and there are many who feel Ichiro Suzuki, their great right fielder, tonight might be that guy.
Well, there's just kind of a change-up grip. You see the split finger grip, not used as a split finger pitch, really, just to take some of the velocity off of the pitch, to use it more like a straight change. Had Vinny Castilla out in front just a little bit.
And Castillo rips it to left, but right at the left fielder Suzuki, who makes the catch. Takanaro Suzuki, and Kawakami may have gotten away with one.
Castilla hit that one right on the screws, and you see how deep some of the outfielders of the Japanese All-Star team is playing there. Suzuki almost needed a ticket to get back in the game on that one.
Well, this is a time you can have some fun. 2 outs now. Sosa's not in scoring position. Here's a guy who does not have overpowering power with 15 home runs this year. Would you send Sammy?
It's a good time to run, because even if he gets thrown out, you have Anderson leading off the next inning, so that's not a bad situation.
They send Sammy. There's the throw, and they have him out by a mile. Matsui making the tag. Sammy is out. Garrett Anderson will lead off the second inning for the Major League Baseball Stars.
Stephanie Shipman live from the courthouse in North Hollywood.
Well, so far in this series, we've actually seen the Japanese All-Stars do a lot better at throwing our base runners out. Javi Lopez had a little trouble throwing. The Japanese All-Stars have stolen a few bases against him. Jason Kendall behind the plate in this game. There you see the pitch to Carlos Delgado. That's what we talked about before. A little bit out in front, but he got the bat head through the zone so quick and just hooked that ball that was tailing away from him into the right field bleachers.
A 3-run smash by Delgado. They've seen so much of Delgado, of Manny Ramirez, of Vinny Castilla, Sammy Sosa, and those are the great power hitters that the Major League Baseball Stars have sent. Kazuhiro Kiyohara will lead things up. Kiyohara hit .268 with 23 home runs this year. You might see every once in a while a KMH with numbers before it. That's the kilometers per hour that Helling's fastball is going. And the conversion rate is really, there's a 122 mile an hour or kilometer per hour fastball or curveball at that time. But it's a 62% conversion rate. So if you throw a fastball, let's say 100 kilometers per hour, it would be 62 miles an hour. That's 142 miles an hour, which is about an 88 mile an hour fastball.
I'm sure glad you're a mathematician.
Terribly done. My 9-year-old son, who's the math whiz, had to tell me that the conversion rate. I hope I explained it perfectly.
Let's get him in here, because there's going to be a lot of pitches today.
Well, Helling has his first strikeout. And now Atsushi Kataoka comes to the plate. Kataoka, they really like his future, hitting .300 with 17 home runs this year. This guy's got some pop in his bat, and they say very quick. He likes to go to the opposite field. Played for the Nippon Ham Fighters this past season. Helling gets that fastball in there. 1 ball, 1 strike. Now Rick tries to work him away and misses. 2 balls and 1 strike.
Strange, some of the lineup changes here. Kataoka was voted the top 3rd baseman in the Pacific League this year, but he's playing first base tonight, and Ito is playing 3rd. Be kind of tough to be voted the top player in your league, and then you come to an All-Star game and you don't get to play that position.
Or how about Kazui Matsui? The shortstop was the MVP, and he's hitting 9th. Oh, good fastball by Helling. Blows it right by him. 3-2. Will he come back inside? He came inside, then went away for 2, comes back inside with a fastball.
It is very strange, and if you watch this series, you'll notice how the Japanese players really swing the bat with their body.
Fastball line to left, a base hit for Kataoka.
A lot lot of the Japanese players have a lot of upper body movement with their swing. They actually have a weight shift forward. They drag the bat through the hitting zone like that. It makes them a lot better opposite field hitters. That's why they've always been known to be more base hit type threats than power hitters. You have Godzilla in the lineup, Matsui, who can go deep 34 times during the season. You have a few guys that can hit the ball out of the park. But for the most part, most of the players have that type of swing where they're just slap hitters and move the ball to the opposite field.
Well, here is one of those power hitters, Akira Ito, with 28 home runs this past season. Plays for the Hiroshima Carp, and Helling just throws that fastball right by him. There is Shigeo Nagashima, manager of the Japan All-Stars, and a great player with Sadaharu Oh when the Yomiuri Giants were in their glory years, winning 9 straight championships. Curveball, strike 2.
Good look at the All-Stars there. The bat boys and girls with the helmets on for protection.
Curveball again from Rick Helling. He tried to go for that strikeout pitch, and Ito hangs in there.
Well, Rick Helling's curveball is a lot more the type of pitches that the Japanese All-Star teams see on a consistent basis during the season, because they throw a lot more curveballs, a straight curveball rather than a split finger and a slider, than the American pitchers do.
Kendall taking a look again. Helling trying to get Ito out here in the second inning. Take a look at the Major League Baseball All-Stars defense. Vinny Castillo right there at third. Fernando Vena at second base. You earlier saw Ray Ordonez and Carlos Delgado at first base. Delgado with a 3-run home run. Jason Kendall catching Rick Helling. Pitchers love this count. With a pitch to waste, will he with Akira Ito? They'll work him inside. And Akira Ito fouls that fastball off. These are the times where you almost want to tell a pitcher, don't give in.
Exactly. You don't want to throw him anything too good to hit right here. He's had him fooled. He's blown his fastball by him, and he's had him fooled with the big breaking ball. 0-2 is a good time to run the ball up in the zone. He's got a good enough fastball that he can throw by him, and that high fastball always looks like a pitch that you can hit. Run it up in the zone and get him to chase it.
Just misses away, 1-2, but that was the quality pitch. That was Rick Helling's pitch. There are a lot of hitters we have seen in the past who will swing at that pitch and either bounce out to the shortstop or strike out.
Yeah, certainly in an 0-2 count, 1-2 count, if you miss with the pitch, you want it to be a ball. You don't want to miss out over the plate.
Curveball, laced to left field, base hit. Garrett Anderson, let's see if he holds him to a single. He does, but moving to third in the play is Kataoka. So Ito comes through, and the tying run will come to the plate.
This is a breaking ball. Good piece of hitting by Ito. Not because he has great balance up there, but because he keeps his hands back. He's actually fooled by the pitch. His body is left him. He's out in front of the pitch, but he did a good job of keeping his hands back and was able to fight that ball off into left field.
Runners at the corners with 1 out. We'll see if Nagashima, the Giants manager and also the All-Star manager for Japan, will be aggressive here, try and stay out of the double play. He can send Ito, who has good speed, and he has Tanashigi, a good contact hitter at the plate, the catcher.
Well, they have been aggressive in this series before, and as we mentioned before, they've had some success running against the Major League Baseball All-Star catchers. Javi Lopez was bouncing the ball down to second base. We'll see how Jason Kendall fares if they have a steal attempt against him.
Garrett Anderson, meantime, saved a run from scoring, going deep into the gap between left and center field. There's White. They will appeal, and they say no, he did not go around, so it's 2 balls and no strikes. Fastball stays away. They have not sent Ato from first base. It's about 400 feet to straightaway center field. 320 down the lines at the Tokyo Dome.
Yeah, this park is definitely legitimate in years past. The parks used to be a little smaller and the dimensions were shorter.
There's a fastball, 3-1. Helling trying to stay down in the zone. That way, Tanashigi cannot lift the baseball and drive in that runner from third base. Sosa has a great arm in right field. But he left it up, and it is skied towards right out of play for a strike that will send the count full 3-2. Runners on first and third with just one out. Top of the second inning. The Major League Baseball All-Stars leading on a 3-run home run by Carlos Delgado. Gripping it for a two-seam fastball, but he will change up in his glove. Still comes with a fastball and fouled off Kendall. 3-2. They had sent Ato on that last pitch.
Tanashigi, one of the guys on this Japanese All-Star team that's certainly in there for his defense. More so than for his average. Just hit .254 this year, but he was voted best catcher in the Central League. We've seen some outstanding defense behind the plate by the Japanese All-Star catchers. A little more movement than the Major League team has here. We've talked quite a bit about how Jason Kendall and Javi Lopez are much more quiet behind the plate. It's the way they're taught in the United States. Don't make your pitcher look bad. Don't have a whole lot of extra movement back there. Japanese All-Stars were really moving around a lot back there, but very fundamentally sound at the same time.
Look how quiet Kendall is. There's a fastball up too high in the zone, sent to right. Sosa will make the catch. His only play is to second base, although he brings it back to first. And a run will score on the sacrifice fly by Tanashigi.
That's a nice job of hitting by Tanashigi, way ahead in the count, 3-0. Then Helling battled back, and now his job was to get the ball up in the air, try to get a run home. Good piece of hitting to the opposite field. He just doesn't have the power to get it out of the park that way. Sosa, no chance at the plate. And nobody was tagging at first base anyway, so throwing the ball back into the first baseman wasn't that big a deal. Here you see Sammy getting the jump on the ball. Right now probably knows that he has no chance at getting anybody out at home plate, but just fires it back into the first baseman.
And they had sent Ato on the play, so he was already past second base, had to retouch the bag and get back to first base. Now Matsui, the shortstop, with 311 this past year.
Well, once again, this is the time in the game where we've seen the Japanese team be a little more aggressive on the bases, and I really think that's how they feel that they have any chance of beating the Major League All-Stars, is to try to put guys in motion, use the hit and run a little more often, and use every asset that they have, especially their speed.
The runner goes. The throw to second base is not in time, and Ato has the steal.
Well, the Major League All-Star team continues to have trouble throwing out the Japanese base stealers. This is a good pitch and a good throw by Kendall, but Ito just beats it out. He just has a great jump on Helling. Japan now 5 for 5 in stolen base attempts in this series. The U.S. team 0 for 3 in stolen base attempts.
Ito with a little bit too big of a lead that Rick Helling decided to turn and shorten. Man at the plate, Matsui, was the Japan series most valuable player. Just a terrific talent as a shortstop. He was wonderful in the series, and then also hit up better than 300 in the Japan series. Seibu, though, finished second to the champion Yokohama Bay Stars.
Of course, this is our first opportunity to see Matsui play. We've heard a lot about his flair and range, and I'm sure he's really excited to play against a guy like Ray Ordonez, the type of guy he plays like. As soon as I saw him, I knew he had the kind of flair and guts that other players don't have with his pink batting gloves that he's wearing.
Well, he pops it up left side, racing over the third baseman, Vinny Castilla, and he makes the catch. We will head to the bottom of the second inning. Garrett Anderson will lead it off.
Okay, Miss Azzie, the director needs to know if you're ready to go on the pick and roll.
I'm ready. It's about time. Okay, I'm on offense and you're on defense.
Great.
I can tell you about a pick and roll. Step down. Yeah, you play defense. You know how to play defense. Okay, now my teammate's going to set a screen on the side of your body. I can dish out, I can pull out, I can spin, or I can pass to my teammate who's then rolling to the basket. Does that make sense? You got it?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
The ABL, real basketball.
So are we ready to shoot this commercial or what?
Checkered Flag, the car stereo powerhouse. At Checkered Flag, we're breaking prices. Sony authorized dealer with prices too low to advertise. Pioneer CD changer cassette combo, $329. If you don't buy it, we break it. A full line of amps, EQs, crossovers, all sizes of speakers, subwoofers, and boxes. Checkered Flag stocks them deep and sells them cheap. Free car alarm with any $199 purchase. Name brands like Pioneer, Sony, Kenwood, and Alpine at unbelievable prices. Let the pros at Checkered Flag take care of you. Checkered Flag on the northeast corner of Roscoe and Sepulveda near Galpin Ford.
Major League Stars lead at 3-1. Our friends at NTV in Japan caught up with home run hitter Carlos Delgado.
本当嬉しく思ってます。なかなかいいヒットだったよね。あそこまで飛んでったんですもんねという素晴らしい満足のいくホームランでした。
周りに素晴らしいホームランバッター多いんで負けられませんね。
Good home runners, in your team, so that's why you can't beat them too, right?
Well, we got some guys that can hit. I mean, you got Sammy and you got Manny and you got Greg Bone. Those guys are like really, really strong. I mean, they can hit the ball out of any ballpark. So
You can be one of them.
I can hold my own.
サミー・ソーサーはじめ本当ラミーとかいろんないいヒッターがいますから僕もその中に入れてとても嬉しいベストを尽くしたいと思います。
ありがとうございました。Thank you very much.
Well, there is Carlos Delgado's swing in the first inning. After the first two batters reached on hits, he just planted one good 420 feet into the seats in right field. And he comes back out with a big smile on his face, sits with his mates, saying, I have no idea what they said, but they had an interpreter there who helped me out.
And they ganged up on him. They had two guys asking him Japanese questions there from both sides of him. His head was spinning until the interpreter got to him there.
Well, most of our questions are cliches, so they can, I'm sure, answer with them.
Just here to help the team. I can hold my own. Taking it one day at a time here in Japan.
And here's another kid who's got a bright future, just 26 years old. Garrett Anderson of the Anaheim Angels. Goes after a curveball and belts it towards right field, but foul. Garrett Anderson hit .294 this year with 15 home runs. Kawakami knows he has power. But when Anderson came up, most of the major league pitchers were feeding him fastballs and hit 16 home runs in just half the season. Shigeo Nagashima in the Japanese All-Stars dugout. There's a ground ball hit to the second baseman, Ishii, and one out.
We talked about left-handed hitters and their ability to go out and hook the ball into right field. It's not a good thing to do. Every once in a while you can have it work out like Carlos Delgado did, but more times than not you'll have it end up like Garrett Anderson right there. The ball tailing away from Anderson, the ball up in the zone. He went out and tried to pull that pitch, and a lot of times you'll just hit a weak ground ball to the second baseman like that. Correct thing to do is try to go the other way, hit a line drive over the shortstop's head.
And here comes Devon White. And Steve, I've just been handed this information from the NTV Wire that says the Los Angeles Dodgers have just signed Devon White of the Arizona Diamondbacks. So put that big LA up there. The guys in the truck have been able to pick it up as well. They've already made him a Dodger, and he'll be a nice ad for Davey Johnson in center field.
Yes, he will. Looking for a center fielder. They've had some problems out there. A 3-year contract for Devon White. As we check out Ichiro. And Godzilla, the outfield for the Japanese All-Stars.
And there's the great shortstop. There's a ground ball, base hit to right field. So Devon White, going from the Diamondbacks to a Dodger, comes up with his last base hit, I would imagine, in a Diamondbacks uniform.
Yeah, unless they'll probably be trying to send him a Dodgers uniform out there as soon as they can get him one so he can represent that team. Here's Ray Ordonez now. Look at the gold gloves he's won in the last 2 seasons.
And he does it with a flair that is a lot like Omar Vizquel of the Cleveland Indians.
You know, Ordonez made 17 errors this year, but you know, a good percentage of those 17 errors were made on plays that no one else would even get to. He tries to make the spectacular play, and occasionally it doesn't work out for him, but man, can this kid pick it.
Two great defensive shortstops in this game. Matsui, let's see if he can turn it. There's the throw. Yes, he does. Beautifully done by Kazuo Matsui, the Ray Ordonez of Japan.
We're talking Chevrolet.
I'm Steve Physiak along with Steve Lyons. You're watching the 1998 Major League Baseball Japan All-Star Series on Fox Sports Net. Due to time constraints, we move ahead to further action to the bottom of the third inning. This is Fernando Vina to lead things off. 198 hits this past season for the Milwaukee Brewers. That a career high. And he singled and scored a run on Carlos Delgado's 3-run bomb in the first inning. That's really the difference in the game, as Japan climbed back with 1 run in their half of the second. Vina takes strike 1-1.
What a great year Vina had this year, because he does have the ability to go up there and get a walk when he needs one. He can jump on a first pitch fastball when he has to. He scored 101 runs this year for the Brewers, and let's face it, the Brewers didn't have that great a season. He was one of the guys that really made it a better club, than they were.
This past offseason, they have signed David Weathers to help their pitching staff. Carlos Delgado with his 3-run monster home run, 420-foot blast off Kawakami, and Kenshin remains in the mound. He gives you a little Los Angeles Dodger look with the blue and grays. Vina just slaps it out of here. 1-2.
Look how quick Vina is inside. That ball getting severely in his kitchen, but was still able to jump it out of there, pulled it down the line foul. But a lot of guys, that's a jam shot that dribbles back to the pitcher, and you take that right-hand turn and head back to the dugout.
Carlos and Sammy Sosa talking about the wood of their bats, and Vina almost got hit. Kawakami's fastball got away from him. Now it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Kawakami from Meiji University, 1996 Japanese Olympic team that played in Atlanta. He was one of their star pitchers. And the Dragons' first-round pick, won 14 games this year. Fastball slapped towards right. That's a base hit. So trouble for Kawakami again. This is the way his disaster started in the first inning on a base hit by Vina.
Well, we said he was going to have to hit his spots. That's not really all that bad a pitch. Once again, another example of a left-handed hitter getting out and pulling a ball that's away from him. Now, if you have great stuff, it's a little harder to do that. But as we said before, Kawakami doesn't throw that hard. So you can get out there and hook balls into right field that normally you'd hit up the middle or the other way.
You know, in the first All-Star game, we said Jason Kendall had the longest high school hit streak at 43 straight. He went to Torrance High School. His father, Fred, of course, was a fine Major League catcher. But you saw Joe DiMaggio's name up there. Robin Ventura did his, 58 in a row with Oklahoma State. Joe Wilhoit had the record of 69 for Wichita in the Western League way back in 1919. And Joe DiMaggio almost broke his mark when he hit in 61 straight.
Joe D just had trouble making outs is what he did.
Forkball for a strike.
61 in the minor leagues, 56 in the major leagues. That's a streak that's going to be very, very difficult for anybody to ever break.
In 1996, a 6th father and son catcher combination, Fred and Jason Kendall. They've done some damage, but Fred said Jason's a lot better than he is. Or he was. Fred now a coach for the Detroit Tigers, and I remember when Fred came to town for the Interleague Series, it was finally Jason who said, "Dad, here are the car keys, just be back at midnight."
Yeah.
But Jason really has enjoyed his stay here in Tokyo. As we first faced the Yomiuri Giants, stayed in Tokyo for the first All-Star game, and again here for number 3. Kendall calls timeout. The count is 1 ball and 2 strikes.
They really treat you right when you go over there. Have a lot of banquets and different events for the players when they're not playing ball to really give them a taste of the culture.
One, 2. Curveball is fouled off. And here's Jason. He's sampling the sushi at a nearby sushi bar. Let's see how he handles the chopsticks.
He better grab a fork.
Good technique right here.
There's his girlfriend April with him, Jason Kendall of the Pittsburgh Pirates. He finally was able to get that sushi mouthward.
Well, at least you don't have to worry about it getting cold.
Nope.
It's not cooked.
But it is good. The count 1-2 to Jason Kendall. Carlos Delgado waiting on deck. That's low.
Well, Kendall is the kind of guy who took over leadership of that Pirate club very early on. Right after his rookie season, he had a good year. Turned around the next year and said, you know what, my turn. Took that team, had a bunch of guys on that club that he didn't think was working hard enough. A lot of guys with not a lot of time in the big leagues. Shook that clubhouse up, and now he's definitely the team leader of that club.
And I always think you have to have a veteran and a guy who is like the captain of your team at that backstop position.
No doubt about it. You got to have a guy back there that wants to open up his mouth, wants to lead the team, wants to direct his team. He's the only one turned around so that he can see what everyone else is doing. He has to have a good knowledge of the pitching staff and be able to direct them and do something with the bat too.
Well, he's been able to do that. I mean, he will crowd that plate. What was he hit like 30 times this year?
Loves to get hit. Leads the league, or is in the top of leading the league every year. Him and Craig Biggio kind of battle it out every year to see how many times they can get hit.
This year led the National League with 31. Kawakami cannot walk this man because he has so much trouble to follow. And Delgado, Sosa, Ramirez, Castillo, that's a lot of power. And Kendall really doing his job, fouling the last 3 off.
And as we've talked about before, Kendall, good speed for a catcher. 26 stolen bases on the year. He's no problem on the base pass behind Vigna. He can certainly score on a double in the gap if he's on first base.
There he goes, the water shower that we saw so many times at Wrigley Field in Chicago. Sammy finally takes a drink. Vigna, let's see if he goes with the count 3-2. He does, but the pitch misses inside, ball 4. Well, every night on Fox Sports Net, it's Fox Sports News Prime Time. All the scores, all the highlights, and all the breaking stories covering your hometown team 7 nights a week. We are there. Fox Sports News Prime Time. Every night on Fox Sports Net, check your local listings. Kawakami is in a big-time jam. He has Vigna at second base, Kendall at first base, same situation that he had Carlos Delgado in when Delgado blasted a home run. And Carlos takes a fastball.
I'll give the kid credit. That's the exact same pitch that Delgado hit out of the park in his first at-bat. Came back with the same pitch.
Carlos has that look as if you throw that again, I'm really going to get it. So he goes down and in. 1 ball, 1 strike. Tim Johnson, who is a skipper at the Toronto Blue Jays, said he just took over in the clubhouse. I mean, he's the one guy I can go to and say, you know what, this fella needs a little more work habits, his work habits to improve, and Carlos will take care of it.
Well, he's evolved into that kind of player. As you mentioned, his first year when he came up, hit 9 home runs in the month of April as a catcher. And then they started throwing them breaking balls. He ended up back in the minor leagues that season. Came up the next year and it got to be a little bit more of a complete player. And each year after that, as we mentioned this year, the real breakout season with 38 home runs. Now he feels comfortable being a leader of the team. We just talked about Jason Kendall and what it takes to be a leader. You have to be able to lead by example as well as vocally.
And your leaders have to be the guys who work the hardest, who hustle the most. Delgado, Sammy Sosa, certainly that with their respective clubs.
Those are the guys that have to be respected by the other guys on your ball club. And you're not going to be a very good leader if you don't lead by example and do the things that you're asking them to do. You can't tell a guy to come out here and work hard and show up early if you're the last guy on the field and you don't want to work yourself. And there are some guys that are extremely talented that and don't lead all that well by example.
And Carlos just broke his bat, so he'll get a new piece of lumber. But here's Carlos, set Toronto records for lefties with 38 home runs, 115 RBIs. Jose Canseco had more than 40 home runs this year, but a career best 292 and 98 as he came up, a real free swinger about 4 years ago.
A lot of young players have to learn how to hit the breaking ball when they get to the big leagues. As you mentioned, they were pumping a lot of fastballs into him, and he was hitting them out of the ballpark, much the same as they did to Garrett Anderson. Then you have to readjust, and you know, you have a good rookie season. Your second year, they talk a lot about a sophomore slump, but it's really about how the other teams start to adjust to you, and then you have to make the adjustment back.
And that is hit off the glove. The pitcher has no play. Everybody's going to be safe. Vigna goes to third. Kendall to second base. Delgado's at first base. The base is loaded for the man everybody came to see. That Chicago Cub, Sammy Sosa.
Well, look at that trade right there with Kenny Patterson for George Bell. Sent him across town. Didn't even have to change apartments. But boy, this crowd has come here to see this guy hit the ball out of the park, and with the bases juiced, not a bad guy to have at the plate.
First time up against the Yomiuri Giants. Hit one down the right field line off the foul pole for a home run.
Ooh.
And there's a curveball, and Kawakami has been working on the razor's edge in this game.
Well, Sammy's been hot during the series. His first at bat, he hit a home run off the foul pole. He's been swinging the bat very well, getting his hits in this series. Well, Sammy had never had a grand slam until this season. He had the most number of at bats of any major leaguer without a grand slam. Then he hit 2 on successive days in Arizona, and then hit another one later on in the season.
Fastball stays low. Well, he battled with Mark McGwire of the Cardinals to establish a new major league single-season home run record, finishing the season with 66, just 4 behind the St. Louis great. What was interesting was that he fell behind McGwire early. McGwire had 24 home runs. Sosa had only 9, and Sammy caught him.
He had a tremendous month where he hit 20 home runs in the month of June. That's incredible. That's almost literally going out there and hitting a home run every day.
You know, I always figured, okay, he'll be stopping here at 16.
Oh, yeah.
Next day, another one. The next day, another one.
I'm not just trying to get 20 hits in the month of June. Sammy went 246 home runs without a grand slam.
You just wanted to get into 20 games into 1 month.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry.
Kawakami
in trouble. 1-2 pitch is low, 2 balls and 2 strikes, but he has done it on the field. Off the field, he has that program, Sammy Claus, where he distributes presents to children in Chicago, New York City, the Dominican Republic.
Also gives away computer systems to the schools in the Dominican Republic, and said that he would donate 40 computers for every home run this season. Do the math. It's a lot of computers this year.
That's taken education by storm. He knows what it meant. This was a guy who was a shoe shine boy in the Dominican Republic. Now he is a statue of a shoe shine boy and a baseball player in the mall that he built in his home country, the Dominican. Again, that fastball challenged in there by Kawakami. Kenshin Kawakami of the Chunichi Dragons won 14 games this year. Now he's battling Sammy Sosa.
Look at this swing. Just missed that pitch again. Hit the top half of the ball, but you see Sammy loads up a little bit with that front left foot. He brings it back, plants it, gets himself ready to swing, and then he just has tremendous balance through the swing.
Well, he has seen all of Kawakami's pitches. Fastball, forkball, curve.
And none of them fooling him.
Still think they better stay away from him. don't come inside. They will stay away, but Sammy tries to pull it, and that's about the best you can do with that pitch.
Sammy's really hyped up right now. There's nothing more that he'd rather do than hit a grand slam here in this series, and he understands the type of attention that he's getting over there. And got his Sammy Sosa initials on his ankle brace. You will not hear this crowd more excited for any other American player than when Sammy's at the plate.
Kawakami again with a 3-2 with the bases loaded, and Sosa rips it down the third baseline. In comes Bina. Here comes Jason Kendall. He will score, and it is a 5-1 lead for the Major League Baseball All-Stars.
Well, the power hitters of the Major League Baseball All-Star team have not disappointed. This one's certainly not knocking down the walls. Watch Sammy. It's just a fastball. Full count. He gets out. That's a nice piece of hitting. Sammy's a great bad ball hitter. This ball's down in the zone. Look at the extension he gets. Just rifles this ball down past the third baseman. It's going to rattle around down in the corner a little bit. 2 runners will score. Sammy coming through again, and yeah, you get that classic smile from him.
Like, oh man, I should have gotten all that. I just got the top of it.
He's a little upset that he didn't hit it out of the yard.
So Kawakami staying in there, but for how long? He faces Manny Ramirez. He's given up 5 runs in the ball game. And runners on second and third with Sosa second base, Delgado third base. Ramirez with 45 home runs this year, 4th in the American League behind Griffey, Bell, and Canseco of Toronto.
You certainly hear a lot about those other guys in front of him, and one of these days you'll start talking about Manny Ramirez as one of the true superstars in the game, because he is.
Well, he sends that ball high and deep to right field. Backing up Suzuki, he makes the catch. Here's the throw. Delgado is coming home as the throw, a rather high one to third. Going for Sosa. Suzuki doesn't get him, and waltzing home from third base is Carlos Delgado.
Oh, my gosh,
Mike knew it right away as he said, oh, he just missed it.
Look at this swing. Great swing, and he's right. He just misses the ball there, and it's amazing how you can miss a ball like that and hit it that far to the opposite field. Nice play by the right fielder, Suzuki, there to get that ball in. He knew where he wanted to go with it. He knew he didn't have a chance of getting anybody out at home plate. So he went to third with it. Almost surprised Sammy Sosa, although Sammy was hustling into third base.
Acho, the third baseman, you see how he defends. Tight. He's coming to the plate is Benny Castillo, who lined out to the left fielder his first time up.
Ichiro there out there showing off his arm. He's won 4 gold gloves as an outfielder. What a complete player he is in the Japanese leagues with the gold gloves and 5 straight batting titles in the Pacific League. They compare him to Michael Jordan type status. The most eligible bachelor in Japan. Could you imagine that?
Here's Benny Castillo. 40+ home runs each of the last 3 years. Only McGuire, Griffey, Gonzalez, and Galarraga have done that. And he plays in that mile-high altitude of Denver, Colorado, or what they say the ball jumps about 9% further.
It does something funny up there, I can tell you that. Boy, the ball really jumps out. You see balls that you hit the center field that you think are pop-ups. Their center field wall is 415 feet away, and balls are flying out of there like they're, you know, they were bombs.
And you have that thin, dry air, and you need more moisture in the air to get the curveballs to curve more. So it's hanging up there, and then you hit it hard, and it goes farther. A lot of people thought Galarraga might have a down year with the Atlanta Braves, but he proved that it wasn't just Coors Field.
I was one of those guys. I didn't think he'd hit that many home runs in Atlanta. He certainly proved a lot of people wrong, including myself.
Curveball misses, now gets away. Back to the screen she goes, and coming home to score is Sammy Sosa.
See, that's one of those plays where we always talk about the catcher being able to block a ball when there's a guy on third. And when he doesn't, you see the disastrous results. The ball goes to the screen. The guy from third base comes waltzing home. But this is an extremely difficult ball to block. Look how far away it is off the plate. He did a great job of trying to get over there and get his body in front of it. That is the pitcher's fault. That's a wild pitch. No fault of the catcher on that play.
Well, how much longer will Kawakami go?
He's done.
You'd have him out of there in the regular season.
Done. 7-1 right now, and it's time for him. You know, lack of confidence at this point. Here's the rookie that had a great year, rookie of the year. These Major League Baseball All-Stars are just pounding him right now. Almost every ball they've hit has been a rocket. Even the outs that they've made have been solid.
And he misses low to Vinny Castilla, so another walk, his second in this inning. First three batters he faced got base hits off him. Actually, the first four as Sosa got the infield hit, but Vina with a single, Kendall with a single, Delgado with a home run. That was to start the game. Then in this inning, Vina with a single, a walk to Kendall, a single by Delgado, a double to drive, and two by Sosa. And now Garrett Anderson steps to the plate, and look at his average and how it has grown. This guy just can flat hit. I think there will come a time where you'll see 315, 320, 325 year after year.
And closer to 25 to 30 home runs, I think, as he matures as a player. Talked about how many home runs he put up early on when they threw him a lot of fastballs. Once he learns to adjust to the breaking balls and the fastballs that he gets, he occasionally when you see him now, he looks a little confused as to the pitch selection. But he can hit both. The fastball and the curveball now out of the park. He just has to have a better command of the strike zone. Here's Garrett Anderson making some tremendous defensive plays. There's his ability to go the other way. And there's the occasional power that we talked about. And that's just some great hitting up the middle. Great swing. He's going to get better and better leverage as he gets older and stronger. He's going to start to hit more home runs.
I know you shake his hand. I mean, he has very strong hands. And he's a lot like Rod Carew, who's his hitting instructor. I mean, he trusts his hands very well. Sometimes the bottom half of his hitting stroke will be out of bounds, but the hands are coming through so well and so quickly that he'll get a base hit on some pitches where he trusts his hands very well. Sometimes the bottom half of his hitting stroke will be out of bounds, but the hands are coming through so well and so quickly that he'll get a base hit on some pitches where a lot of major leaguers will be out. Boy, that's a pitch that was a pitcher's pitch, and that is drilled to deep center field, and Hideki Matsui will not reach it. Racing around to score is Vinny Castilla. It is now a 7-1 Major League Baseball All-Star lead.
I'll tell you right there, Steve, you used the correct terminology when you said racing around, because it looked like Godzilla was racing the baseball. Let's see the jump he gets. Not a bad. You talk about hand strength. Look at him running. He's running even with the ball right now. He should be running about 10 feet to his left. He would have caught the ball. Misplayed that ball. Didn't have a clear idea of where the ball was going. He knew it was over his head, so he turned and ran. But he had to make his direction about 10 feet further to his left. He would have caught that ball easily. Instead, it falls in there for the double.
And we will see a pitching change here as Kawakami has been absolutely drilled. It's now 8-1. As coming home to score was Castilla on the play. And Shigeo Nagashima will make a pitching change.
Stephanie Shipman lost.
Off the new year with Carl's Jr. and Dr. Pepper. Score the big one and win the 1999 New Year's Day sweepstakes. Grand prize, 4 tickets to the Rose Bowl. Attend the exclusive Dr. Pepper pregame party. First prize, 2 tickets to the 1999 Rose Bowl. And second prize, 4 tickets to the 1999 Tournament of Roses Parade. Stop by any participating Carl's Jr. restaurant and look for this display. Grab an entry form and send it to this address. It's the 1999 New Year's Day sweepstakes brought to you by Carl's Jr. and Dr. Pepper.
The new pitcher for the Japan All-Stars is Kenjiro Kawasaki, who pitched for the Yakult Swallows and led the league with 17 wins. So he takes over for Kenshin Kawakami, who was bombed for 8 runs in this game. And here is Devon White, the new Los Angeles Dodger.
Kawasaki had an ERA of just over 3, but gave up a lot of hits. So looks as though he was able to wiggle his way out of some tough situations.
And the power up for Devon White this past year, the most he had hit since hitting 24 with the Angels in his rookie season.
Well, Devon White, with the new signing with the Los Angeles Dodgers, brings a lot of experience to that club, brings a good center fielder defensively with his gold gloves, and 3 World Championship rings. That's a lot of experience in the postseason. If the Dodgers are ever going to want to get back into that situation, you'd like to have a guy that's been there before. 2 championships with Toronto, 1 with the Florida Marlins. That's a lot of gaudy jewelry walking around on your fingers.
Well, there's a lot in right field as well. And Raul Mondesi, he always has all those necklaces around his neck weighting him down, but he wanted to move back from center to right field.
Well, he's
White fouls it off.
True right fielder instead of a center fielder, in my opinion. And you're right about the gaudy jewelry under, but none of them are championships rings. He'd probably like to add one of those.
There's Ichiro, who many feel will be the first to go from Japan as a position player to the major leagues. He has that kind of talent. He's won 5 straight batting titles. His career average over 350. Anderson at second base, doubled in a run. White went around, and Kenjiro Kawasaki gets the strikeout.
This is a good pitch. Slider down and in. Tough pitch for a left-handed hitter to lay off, because when you see it coming in, if you can't recognize the spin, it looks like a nice fastball in the inner half of the part of the plate that you can really just pull into right field, and then it starts breaking down towards your back knee, and you can't hold up, but you can't hit it either.
But it was good to see Kawasaki come back after 2 injury-plagued years in '95 and '96 to win a career best 17. It's interesting how so many pitchers can go through those arm problems and come back better. Here's Ray Ordonez, who says he wants more power. Only hit 1 home run this year, but look at the double numbers.
20 doubles on the season. It's a lot more fun to be standing out there on second base, especially when you hit late in the order like Ordonez does. Have a chance for the pitcher and then the top of the order to come up and drive you in. A lot of times if you can get on second base and there's less than 2 outs, the pitcher in the National League can still bunch over to third and you have a chance to score an extra run. 5 doubles to me is an amazing number for a guy who plays every day. You'd think you'd accidentally hit more than 5 doubles.
Well, he'll have help. They have re-signed Mike Piazza. They've been very aggressive in the offseason, the New York Mets have, in acquiring free agents. And there's a chopper towards third, taken care of by Ito. His throw is in time. Ordonez is out. So are the Major League Baseball All-Stars, but they score 5 in the inning. Welcome back to the Tokyo Dome. I'm Steve Physiak along with Steve Lyons. You're watching the 1998 Major League Baseball Japan All-Star Series on Fox Sports Net. Due to time constraints, we move ahead to further action in the bottom of the 4th inning. Fernando Vina will lead things off, and he taps it foul. It is Kenjiro Kawasaki who is the second pitcher thrown by Japan in this game, as Kenshin Kawakami gave up 8 runs on 9 hits and 2 1/3 innings. Sammy Sosa got him for a double in the last of the 3rd to drive in 2, and then Sammy would come around to score on a wild pitch. Fernando Vina is perfect with 2 for 2. 2 base hits, 1 a line smash to right field, and then another that got by the second baseman by about 5 feet. And he's done a leadoff man's job. Score runs. One ball, 2 strikes.
Now you're thinking about the marketing opportunities there in Japan. If Kenjiro Kawasaki ever faced Ichiro Suzuki, and Suzuki hit for the cycle.
Oh, no. You mean the motorcycle?
The motorcycle is right.
And Jackie Chan would be riding that motorcycle.
These guys could make a lot of money. Maybe they could make that happen.
They could call it first strike.
Yeah.
Or if Jackie crashes, it could be first strikeout. That's what Fernando Vina just did. 8-1, the Major League Baseball All-Stars have the lead. Weeknights at 6 and midnight. It's The Last Word with Jim Rome in L.A. and a live studio audience at the All-Star Cafe in New York. It's epic sports talk. by Coastal and Interactive. Join Romy as he mixes it up with the biggest names in sports. The Last Word, weeknights at 6 and midnight on Fox Sports Net. Just check your local listings. Here is Jason Kendall. It's been on twice and scored 2 runs.
Now, earlier in the game, we saw the footage of Jason Kendall out the night before eating sushi. 1 for 1 with the walk and a couple runs scored. It might become a permanent part of his diet.
Like Wade Boggs when he ate chicken and went 3 for 4 and has had chicken before every single game. And maybe Kendall will have sushi before every single game. A single, a walk, 2 runs scored. And that's belted towards center field, and bring on the sushi.
I'm thinking that's exactly what he'll do. We've seen Kendall hit this pitch exactly in the same location 2 times. Watch how quickly he pulls the hands in again. That ball's in on him. It might jam a lot of players. Kendall does a great job of, in the mid-swing, pulling the hands in tighter to his body, bringing the bat head through the zone a little bit quicker, able to get the bat head on the ball and driving it up the middle.
So now Carlos Delgado comes to the plate. A 3-run home run in the first inning. Came on a 3-1 pitch. Then at that time, the pitcher Kawakami threw him a first pitch fastball right down the heart of the plate. Well, the next pitcher, Kawasaki, challenged Delgado on first pitch. Carlos took that first pitch strike in his last at bat. Well, he swings at this one and lifts it towards left field and rather deep, driving Suzuki back to the wall, and it's Delgado's second home run of the night.
You're right, Steve. He didn't want to let that first pitch fastball go. This is once again the exact same pitch, although this time Delgado goes the other way with it. He didn't try to get out in front and hook it. The fan in the left field bleachers looked awfully close to reaching out and get it. Look at that ball tailing away. It's the same ball that he pulled for a home run. Now he goes the other way, right into the front row of the bleachers. The kid in the red shirt catches it. He may have reached out over the fence. Good thing that wasn't like the 70th home run ball hit by Mark McGuire.
Well, Mark actually should have had 71 if not for that fan in Milwaukee, who I thought was totally legal. I mean, every single fan is going after a home run ball.
It certainly was a home run ball, and I'll tell you what, a lot of people can say things about whether or not they think fans should lean out over the fence. The stadium makers should make it so that there's a retaining wall between the wall and the fence so that that could never happen. But if it's me standing in left field and the ball's coming that close, I'm reaching out to try to catch it. I like the game
just the way it is. Let the fans catch the home run balls. Ground ball, second base. And 2 outs.
Sammy even gets an ovation from the crowd when he grounds out.
Well, here are the most home runs record in Japan by Americans. Leron Lee hit 283. Boomer Wells hit 277. But a lot of those guys are players who did not make it in the major leagues.
That's right. You know, earlier on, especially even in my career when I was a younger player in the major leagues, they were taking a lot of guys that couldn't make it out of AAA, and they were giving them the opportunity to play in the major leagues in Japan. And then towards the end of my career, when I actually had thoughts of going to Japan to play baseball, they were taking a lot better players than I was. Mel Hall went over. Brooke Jacoby was going over at that time. Guys that had established themselves. Doug DeCinces went over. Guys that had good major league careers towards the end of their career, going over to Japan to extend their playing career.
Here's Manny Ramirez, sends a ground ball to third, and Manny is gone. But a 2-run home run by Carlos Delgado, his second of this ball game. It's 10-1, Major League Baseball. We have a pitching change here in Tokyo, Japan. Kevin Millwood, who won 17 games for the Atlanta Braves, comes on to replace Rick Helling. Helling went 4 innings, allowed 3 hits, 1 run, no walks, and struck out 2. And the first pitch by Millwood is a strike. Well, NTV wants to chat with Rick Helling.
Obviously, I wasn't as sharp as I'd like to have been, but you know, we've had almost a month of layoff, so you know, they've got a good lineup over there, and I just tried to go out and make good pitches and hopefully let my guys behind me make good plays defensively.
自分としてはシャープな出来上がりではないですけれども、ラインナップもいいし、自分としては一生懸命ベストを尽くしたい、このチームでいいピッチングをしたいと思って自分のやるべきことをやりました。
チームメイト素晴らしいバッターばっかりだからサポートも大きいですね。
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, that's, we're an all-star team, and, we've got guys out there that are the best players in the world, and they're going out and proving it over here. We've been playing great baseball. Guys are hitting the ball well, and we've been pitching well, too.
とにかくオールスタープレーヤー、世界でもナンバーワンのプレーヤーが集まっているわけですから、こういったプレー、得点取ってくれてとても助かっています。
日本のピッチャーちょっと打たれています。こういったメジャーリーガーを抑えるには、あなたにの抑えるにはどうすればいいでしょう。
What kind of advice you can give them?
Well, those are the guys that we have to play against every day over there, and they're hard to pitch to. They're great hitters. They've got a lot of power, and if you make mistakes, you're going to end up paying for it. And so far, the pitches we've been hitting have been looks like mistake pitches, and you got to try to limit those.
やっぱり強打者多いですからね、ちょっとしたミスでやっぱり運ばれてしまう、そういったことを気をつけなきゃいけないんじゃないでしょうか。とにかく僕たちが手強いんですよ。
ありがとうございます。Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Well, there's Kevin Millwood and his first strikeout of the night as he comes on and strikes out Adenobu Tanashigi.
Millwood with the high gas power pitcher was 5th in the National League in strikeouts per 9 innings with 8.4. The guy can throw that fastball up in the zone as he did right there and get guys to swing at it and miss. Millwood with 17 wins on the season, but did not pitch at all in the League Championship Series against the San Diego Padres.
Kazui Matsui, the shortstop and the MVP of the Japan Series. Millwood brings the 1-0 pitch, and that ball hit sharply down the left field line. Garrett Anderson will try and hold him to a single, and his throw does that nicely.
Now Matsui in the pink gloves came through that time. Just slapping this ball. That's what the kid does best. Watch him just slap the ball the other way. He's already running down the first baseline before he even finishes his swing. At 311 this year, but he was the MVP of the league, mostly because of his defensive ability. Great defensive player, but hit 311 also.
The star of the Oryx Blue Wave, Ichiro Suzuki. He has popped up and grounded out. Hit 358 this past season to lead all of Japan. Great here with excellent speed.
They can see what I'm talking about, the way these Japanese hitters swing with their body. Ichiro, as he missed that pitch, ended up facing the opposite direction. They'll spin themselves all the way around because there's a lot of upper body movement in their swing. There's a lot of the American players backleg the ball. They anchor their weight on their back foot, and they swing through the baseball and use the bat as a pendulum around their body rather than swinging the bat with their entire body.
Well, Millwood coming with 2 consecutive breaking balls to Ichiro Suzuki, and the count 2 balls and 2 strikes with Matsui at first base. 10-1, the Major League Baseball All-Stars with the lead. Sosa's driven in 2 with a double. And that ball shot foul. One thing Ichiro has done very well is steal bases. He has 4 steals.
Now here's a replay of the swing. Look at all the upper body movement. Look at how he's turned all the way around down towards first base. Feet up in the air when he's done with his swing. That's putting the leverage of their entire body into the swing. As the American players will use mostly their arms and their legs only to hit. Try to keep the torso of their body and the weight shift of their body from without moving. Watch how all his body's moving forward. Most Major League Baseball All-Stars will keep their weight almost anchored, use their arms and their legs for their power.
And he chops out at the plate, and a tough play for Jason Kendall. He slides and will fall down. It's a fair ball, so Suzuki is safe and has a base hit. Not the way he would have wanted, but a base hit is a base hit.
Now, if you're hitting 358 during the season, you're getting a few hits like that. Kid can fly. And
now Takuro Ishii, who led his league in hits, played all 135 games in 1998 for the Japan League champion Yokohama Bay Stars, as they were able to beat the Seibu Lions 2-1 in that final game. First time Yokohama's won in 38 years. And it was his teammate Norihiro Komada's 2-run 8th-inning double in Game 6 that won it for the Yokohama Stars. There's the Bay Stars skipper, who enjoyed such a outstanding year, and I'm sure the entire community of Yokohama is so proud of their Bay Stars. First time in 38 years. You would think along the lines of the Cleveland Indians, of the Boston Red Sox. Well, Boston has to go way back.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's almost being like a Cub or Red Sox fan.
Yokohama has gotten there. Maybe Boston or the Cubs will get there in their future. There's a line smash to center field, and that's a base hit. Coming around to score, Matsui. It's 10-2.
The Japanese All-Star putting together a little bit of a rally against Kevin Millwood. This ball is a ball that Millwood would hope to get up in the zone a little bit higher. Look at it, down around the knees. That's the hitting area for most of these Japanese players. And as we mentioned before, a lot of left-handed hitters love the ball down there. Throw way off the mark by Devon White. Matsui scores.
So Takanori Suzuki, also from the Yokohama Bay Stars, the Japan champions. He takes a fastball high and away from Kevin Millwood. Suzuki led the Central League in batting at .337 and has led that Central League in batting each of the last 2 years. Ichiro Suzuki has led the entire league in hitting the last 5 seasons.
So the Suzuki brothers have been dominated. Even though they're not brothers.
All revved up, ready to go.
Especially when they face Kawasaki.
Ground ball right back to Millwood. This should do it. It does, but another run comes across. It is 10-2. The Major League Baseball All-Stars lead by 8. The first game of this All-Star series in Japan. A new pitcher for Japan, Kanei Kobayashi, who is a rookie, throwing a fastball and a forkball. He really has good stuff. Ball moves well. Struck out 105 this year in 81 2/3 innings. Castilla is 0 for 1. He scored a run his last time up, part of that 5-run 3rd inning. Curveball. He does have a good curveball.
Oh, we talked about the ability of the Major League Baseball All-Stars and their pitchers with the power pitching ability to be able to run the ball up in the zone and to get guys to strike out on pitches that are 90 miles an hour or above and up in the zone. Now this guy has that ability. He throws his breaking ball and his fastball on the same plane, so it's very difficult to recognize the difference in the pitch, and he throws hard. He can run the ball up in the zone, especially against his Japanese players during the regular season, and get them to swing at high pitches because he has the velocity on the pitch to be able to run that up.
Manny Ramirez, Sammy Sosa sitting together in the Major League Baseball All-Stars dugout. Kobayashi coming inside to even the count at Vinny Castilla. 2 balls and 2 strikes. In 8 games in this month of November in Tokyo, Fukuoka, and Osaka. 7 games versus the Japan All-Stars. And then that first game against the Yomiuri Giants. Balls in the dirt. Now it's full 3-2. Kanei with the Hiroshima Carp and was a rookie this year. They moved him to the closer's role, and he had 18 saves. 50 hits allowed in 81 2/3. That's great.
That's being a little stingy.
And Vinny just misses the fastball in on him, lifts it in the air to center field. Matsui is under it, and Hideki makes the catch for the first out. Fox Sports Net is going deep, taking you past the headlines and inside the biggest stories for insight you just can't get anywhere else. Join host Joe Buck for Going Deep, Sundays at 9 on Fox Sports Net. Check your local listings. The Angels' Garrett Anderson comes to the plate, and a booming double his last at bat to drive in a run. And Kobayashi brings it. Garrett takes outside and low. 1 ball, no strikes. Garrett was a great baseball and basketball star at Kennedy High School in Los Angeles. So good at basketball, averaged 22 points per game and received some college offers in that area. But sat out as a sophomore and junior as a baseball player, did not play at all, and then shows up for his senior year and not only comes back, Steve, but leads the league in hitting. That's a natural hitter.
It's tremendous athletic ability also.
Fastball stays low. 3 balls and no strikes. And his Kennedy High School team won the city championship. He was their star center fielder. Kobayashi again challenging him with that fastball just above the belt. 3-1. Comes right back with a fastball, and it is tapped towards the second baseman. Tough play and a beautiful play by Ishii.
This is a great play because Ishii knows that after this high hop right here, that if he lets this ball bounce on the turf again and go back up, he short hops it so he can make the play and make the throw over to first base. If he waits back on that ball and it bounces again on the turf and he has to field it head high, he's got no chance of throwing Garrett Anderson out at first base.
I mean, you take a look at the Yokohama Bay Stars up the middle defense, and Ishii playing their shortstop position, now playing second base for the Japan All-Stars, and you can understand why they won the championship.
Got to be solid up the middle, and that's what they are. Nice play on the short hop.
Now Devon White, curveball for a strike.
Those plays, Steve, always, you turn a play like that into a do-or-die play. If you don't make the play, someone always says, you know, why did you make it that way? Well, obviously, if he lets that ball bounce again, there's no shot at throwing out Anderson at first.
And he had to charge. I mean, it's even more dramatic on natural grass, where you try and cut off that short hop, the one that eats you up. Fastball wanders away. 1 ball, 2 strikes. But the Japanese All-Stars certainly have proven their mettle on defense and speed. Kawakami, the damaged man sitting in the dugout, who gave up 8 runs in the first 3 innings. And there's a shot down the line by Devon White. In the corner, Ichiro Suzuki, he shows off a strong arm, but they have no chance to get the 3-footed White.
And Devon White's younger years, when he really had the tremendous speed, he always reminded me of kind of like a gazelle the way he ran. Very stiff-legged, very long strides. Watch him as he gets the bat head out in front on this, realizes the ball's going to be fair, and as he rounds first base, he really starts just putting it into gear. He knew he had a sure double, and he just kind of glided into second base.
So White, great speed at second base. Ray Ordonez is the batter. He takes a fastball low and away. Ball 1. Ray Ordonez with a little international experience. He was on the Cuban international team, and as a matter of fact, he was in the States when he defected in 1993. But they would come over and play teams from Japan, entertain them as well. The word is out. The Major League takes care of their employees. Ivan Hernandez is over. El Duque, his brother, is over with the New York Yankees.
Yeah, it's not a bad day job if you can find it.
Nope. Not when you talk about El Duque making, what, about $40, $50 a week. I'm sure more when he plays baseball, but not that much. Now when you compare it with what the New York Yankees are now paying him to help them to a world championship.
Up around $4 million a year.
And Ordonez defecting for the same reasons, a better life. Oh, a good fastball on the outside corner of the knees, and Kobayashi gets the strikeout of Ordonez. Takes over for Ray Ordonez as the shortstop. Damian Easley in for Fernando Vina at second base. And in center field, Andrew Jones of the Atlanta Braves in for Devon White, who just signed a contract, we understand, with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Here to lead things off, Hideki Matsui, the great power hitter for the Yomiuri Giants. He takes a strike. Now his uniform says Tokyo, and that is the city he represents, but the ball club is owned by Yomiuri. It's like the ham fighters. It's mainly Nippon Ham. That's the company that owns the ball club. That's what they go by.
Yeah.
Fastball stays high by Kelvin Millwood. Matsui has grounded out to second and lined sharply to the right fielder, Sammy Sosa, his last at bat.
Well, Matsui with the 34 home runs, even he swings with a lot of upper body movement. You can see after he swings the bat, turns himself all the way around in the batter's box, but not quite as bad as some of the little guys that come up there and just try to pity pat the ball and hit it back up the middle and the other way and just are the slap hitters.
Well, he sends that one towards center field, but they had him played perfectly. Andrew Jones really shading over left center, makes an easy catch. And Nagashima, he will send to the plate. Mitsuchika Hirai pinch hitting for Kuyara here in the 6th inning.
Ferrari, good hitter in the 116 games he played, 320 average. Not a lot of power, didn't drive in a lot of runs. There's Godzilla.
He's wearing an 0 for 3, but something tells me he'll let his presence be known later in this All-Star series. He's a good hitter.
Now, you don't hit 34 home runs in 135 games and not have the ability to go out of the park no matter who's pitching.
Hirai takes a strike. There's Ichiro, best player in Japan, Ichiro Suzuki of the Oryx Blue Wave. He also has been shut out. He did have a hit his last at bat, but just a chopper in front of the plate.
Ichiro spends a lot of time with his batting helmet on. You ever notice every time you peek into the dugout there, whether he's going to hit or not, he's got that helmet on.
That ball popped foul. Perhaps he watches a little bit of the Anaheim Angels games and watches Chuck Finley sit in the dugout.
Yeah, Finley should be wearing a helmet. Gets hit more than anybody I've ever seen.
It's a baseball magnet. Has a great sense of humor about it as well. There's that curveball that is tapped foul.
There's the bench.
And Finley's teammate as the Angels dipped into the overseas market going after Shigetoshi Hasegawa, who proved to be quite a setup man this year, one of their most valuable pitchers this year, as the Angels challenged the Texas Rangers for the American League West title until that last week. So Millwood loses Hirai. He has walked the man with 1 out in the 6th inning. Coming to the plate is Atsushi Kataoka.
Well, Millwood has struggled with his location in his innings of work so far, and he's really having a tough time finding the strike zone on a consistent basis. You see him all over, has not a very good feel for his breaking ball right now and not able to throw his fastball for a strike.
Fastball is in there to get ahead, 0-1. Kataoka with a base hit to left field and scored the first run for Japan in this evening's ball game as he scored on the sacrifice fly by the catcher Tanashigi. He grounded out his last at bat. And he lines that sharply towards right field. That's a base hit. Coming around to score is Hirai, and it is a 10-3 lead. A double for Kataoka.
Now here's a guy who looks so bad on the first 2 pitches. You have him 0-2, then you loop a curveball out over the middle of the plate. He's just able to sweep the bat through the zone and Just kind of lift the ball over the first baseman's head, and with the turf, it rolls quickly down into the corner for a run scored.
Yeah, it seems like they do have that mentality. I'll pull the breaking ball, and I'll send the fastball to the other field.
Just sweep the head of the bat through the zone. Don't try to hit it too hard. Just get it out there, make some contact. Some good things can happen. This lineup actually has a pretty good mix of guys that are just going to try to move the ball around the infield a little bit, get on base, and then they have a few guys in the lineup that can hit the ball out of the park. We talked about Matsui before with the 34 home runs.
And Akira Ito, who's at the plate now, who hit 28 this past year, has hit as many as 30 in a season, coming 2 years ago when he had 30 home runs and 106 RBIs.
Kirihara with 33 home runs. So the middle of that lineup, some guys that can hit the ball out of the park, and then a lot of slap hitters to try to get on base and do some damage. And you have a guy like Millwood right now that's having a little bit of trouble finding the plate with all his pitches. These guys can do some damage too. They'll hang in there, hang in on counts. You can eventually walk these guys, or they'll foul off pitches for a while until they get a better pitch to hit, and then they can do some damage that way.
Mike Hargrove watching this. Well, the games are intended to promote friendly relations between the two countries. Mike Hargrove issued a light-hearted warning on the trip over here, saying, "We came here to win. We're here to play baseball." He's brought his Indians into the playoffs the last 4 seasons. A commanding 7-run lead of Millwood struggling in the 6th inning. A walk, a double. It's now fallen with a 2-2 count to Akira Ito, and now has run the count full 3-2. It's the old Cincinnati Reds cap.
Sure. The carp. Good eating.
And Ito walks. Millwood has walked 2 now in the inning. A visit will come from Jason Kendall.
You ever had any carp, Steve?
It is a bottom feeder. I'm not a favorite of carp.
No. Wouldn't be one of the first things I'd order off the menu.
But I think with enough Tabasco sauce, anything can taste fairly good.
A little Cajun spice.
Mike Hargrove with Cookie Rojas, the former great National League and American League second baseman with the Philadelphia Phillies and Kansas City Royals. Leo Mazzoni, who is Bobby Cox's pitching coach, comes out for the visit with a guy he's so familiar with, a rookie pitcher Kevin Millwood, who won 17 games this past year for that great Atlanta Braves staff.
Leo Mazzoni comes out there in this situation. Look, it's 10-3, Kevin. Throw strikes, challenge these guys, make them put the ball in play. You're falling behind in the count. When you do get ahead in the count, you're making mistakes. Go at it the way you do in the regular season, the way you got 17 wins for us.
Now Toshihiro Noguchi played for the Ham Fighters. Came in for defensive reasons in the 5th inning, and here he is hitting in Tanashigi's spot in the 6th. Kataoka doubled in a run. Ito has just walked.
There's the uniform that you talked about before, the Nippon Ham Fighters.
Took that one on the inside corner. Tough play, and they throw to third, and it gets away from the third baseman and goes all the way towards the dugout, but backed up by Jason Kendall. Kataoka goes to third in the play, to second base Ito, and now Noguchi is at first. The bases are loaded.
I don't see too many errors from a guy like Garcia Parra, but it's the only play. You see a replay, this ball way in the 6th hole. Garcia Parra doesn't see the hitter fall at home plate. He really wants to go over to third base, throw the ball to Castilla. It's the only play he thought he had. Just kind of hooks this ball on his finger a little bit, runs it inside the baseline a little farther than he wanted to.
It will be an infield hit for Noguchi. So the bases are loaded with just 1 out here in the top of the 6th inning. Major League Baseball stars leading 10-3. And here is Kazuo Matsui, the MVP of the Japan Championship Series.
A lot of people might look at that play and say, how can it be a hit when he threw the ball away? Well, Garcia Parra had no chance at the play at first. That makes it a hit, and since when he made the throw to third base and no other runners advanced, there's no error on the play.
There's a base hit to right field. In comes Hirai, and it is a 10-4 ball game.
Millwood is really struggling here. It's a 10-4 ball game with the bases loaded. You got to start thinking about possibly making a move to your bullpen again. Hargrove there wants Jason Kendall to go out and talk to Millwood. Yeah, Vichero at the plate now, the Pacific League batting title guy for the last 5 years, and here comes Mike Hargrove now to get Millwood. Accompanied by his interpreter so that he can talk to the umpire.
And the new pitcher will be Brett Tomko of the Cincinnati Reds when we come back. Talking about hitting the spots, and here is Ichiro Suzuki, who is a spot hitter, hit .358 this past season, and he will face Brett Tomko. Tomko pitched for the Cincinnati Reds this past year. Born and raised in Cleveland. 13 wins for the Reds. 1 complete game. Big kid at 6'4", 215. Ichiro has popped up, grounded out, reached on an infield hit, but really has not been able to feel comfortable at the plate yet against the major league pitchers.
Sure looks pretty up there with those sweet shoes. Man. This guy's got some style.
He's got a sweet swing as well and lines out to center field. Jones will try and hold him to 1. He does, but 2 runs score on Ichiro Suzuki's RBI single to center field.
I just think you play right into the hands of these Japanese hitters by throwing a lot of breaking balls. There's a curveball out over the plate. Sweet swing up the middle. Andrew Jones, great play right here. Holding him to a single. If that ball gets by him, it's at least 2. All 3 runs would score. Holds 1 runner at third and holds Suzuki to the single. Look at the body movement again. Long sweeping swing. A lot of time to get your bat through the zone on a curveball. Head down very well. I think the power pitchers on the Major League All-Star team are going to fare much better against these Japanese hitters by just powering the fastball in on the hands, up in the zone. You're going to do a lot better than throwing those breaking balls out there and speeding up the bats of the Japanese players.
Takuro Ishii at the plate now as Matsui is at third and Suzuki is at first base. A 10-6 ball game that once was 10-1.
There you see the excitement of the crowd here.
Every seat taken here at the Tokyo Dome in Japan. Suzuki swings, sends a ground ball towards first. A run will score on the play, and they do not get the double play.
That's a 10-7 game now.
More base runner. The tying run comes to the plate. Ichiro is out at second base, but save at first is Takuro Ishii, and Takanaro Suzuki now steps to the plate. A guy representing 16 home runs and 87 RBIs, the MVP of the Japan series for the champion Yokohama Bay Stars. This guy could flat hit. .337 batting average this year. Led his league. Ichiro led all of Japan. And moving to second base in the play is Takuro Ishii trying to get into scoring position.
It's just a good play. We've seen it all series long so far from the Japanese team, especially with 2 outs, being very aggressive, trying to put guys in scoring position. They're going to have to use their ability to steal bases and just get the base hits. Going to be a whole lot of home runs. Drive the ball into the gaps and run.
Good fastball by Brett Tomko. He's gone mainly with that fastball after being hurt by Ichiro with the curveball. Boy, this would be an unbelievable comeback if they could come back from 10-1 down. Tomko will try and close the door here.
In this series, we're going to have to continue to keep in mind the fact that the Japanese All-Stars have now stolen 6 out of 6 bases. Major League Baseball All-Stars have not stolen a base at all. They're 0 for 3.
Suzuki wants to get on for that man. Hideki Matsui with one swing of the bat could tie this game. But there's a ground ball to second base. Damian Easley will throw him out easily, and it is a 10-7 game after 5.5. Welcome back to the Tokyo Dome. I'm Steve Physiak along with Steve Lyons. You're watching the 1998 Major League Baseball Japan All-Star Series on Fox Sports Net. Due to time constraints, we move ahead to further action. Dan Plesac comes on and pitched in 78 games with the Toronto Blue Jays this year. He was the left-hander called on to get a tough left-hander out, and he must face a tough lefty in Hideki Matsui.
Plesac resurrected his career after a few tough years in Milwaukee. Went to Chicago, Pittsburgh, and now Toronto.
Good hack by Matsui, fouling it off. It's behind the count, 0-2. Dan was tough for all left-handers. I think they only hit like 198 off of him this year.
He still throws the ball hard enough to get by you. A lot of left-handed pitchers don't throw all of that hard. Plesac can still throw it past you, and he's got the good breaking ball, and he makes the left-handed hitters think about a lot of different things when they're up there. The ball can be running away from them. You can still run it up under your chin, so you can't lean out over the plate. He's a big, lanky guy and throws kind of cross-handed a little bit of a sidearm delivery there occasionally, and shows you a bunch of different looks.
You know, he and Roger Clemens, who's now his teammate, were teammates together for the National Baseball Congress when they played as teenagers in Wichita, Kansas. And Roger tells the story that Plesac was like Nuke LaLoosh of Bull Durham fame. Well, look at that. Plesac forgets to cover second, first base, and an infield hit for Hideki Matsui.
That's something that Nuke LaLoosh would do. Forget to cover first base. You know, spring training, when the season starts, they pound into those pitchers, the old PFP drills, the pitcher fielding practice. And every time the ball is hit to the right side, the catcher's screaming at the pitcher to get over to first base. And that time, Plesac just forgot to get over there.
We have a pinch hitter, Norihiro Nakamura. He's pitch hitting for the designated hitter in this game, Hirai.
Nakamura with 90 RBIs on the season, a huge year, very productive at bats. A money guy. When guys were on base, this guy drove them in.
Big guy at 6 feet, 205, hit 30 home runs, 32, excuse me. And there's a off-speed pitch thrown by Plesac that misses. 1 ball and 1 strike. Tried to get the fastball in, and it is knocked to left field. A base hit. 2 on, nobody out. The tying run is coming to the place in Kataoka. Wow, how about this start? An incredible comeback by the Japan All-Stars. One of their best players in all of Japan, Atsushi Kataoka, is coming to the plate, who has singled and doubled in this game, scored 2 runs, and he has driven in a run. Might remember the last time up, they tried to get a fastball inside, and breaking ball inside, and he ripped it down the right field line.
Yeah, on an 0-2 count, they made him look bad for 2 swings. Then he just swept that bat through there. Look at him, turned all the way around, looking into his own dugout after he swings the bat. If you took swings like that in the minor leagues, if you were on any Major League Baseball franchise, they'd tell you, you better come up with a new swing, son.
Nakamura at first base, and again, wow, Kataoka is really bailing on that pitch. I mean, I work a lot with Rod Carew of the Anaheim Angels, and he always says, keep your head on the ball. When you're finished swinging, your head should be still right there, much like a golfer is.
So should your body. Your front foot should be planted, and still his right foot, he'll spin all the way around on it and face his own team's dugout when he's done swinging the bat. They have some success that way, as we said before. They just lay the bat head out into the hitting zone and just leave it there and just kind of sweep it through the zone, and they'll get a lot of base hits that way. Not a whole lot of power, and can be susceptible to the hard breaking ball that Dan Plesac has, especially away.
Dan steps off. He had the count his way 0-2, and like we've seen so many times in the past, swept that slider away from Kataoka. Missed. Kataoka, showing good discipline, did not swing. See if he goes slider again. He does, but misses, and he did not go around. The count is even now, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Danny, a veteran, has been in so many pressure situations in his past, with Milwaukee, with the Cubs, now with Toronto. Again he goes slider, and this one is fouled out of play.
The way he swings the bat, I think you're just doing him a favor if you come inside with anything that's breaking. If you want to bust him hard with a fastball, it's fine. But Plesac continually throwing the slider away, away, away. See how he's having to reach for that ball. He's got nothing on it. If I'm the left fielder, I'm playing very, very shallow. He can't hit it over my head over there. I'm either going to come in very, very hard with a fastball or stay away with the slider.
Just misses with the fastball. And I liked his pitch selection. He had thrown 3 straight sliders.
I think Plesac wanted that one. The umpiring in this series so far has been very, very consistent and very good.
The 3-2 pitch. Again, it was a fastball that he tried to jam him on, and Kataoka bailing, fouling it off. Sushi hit 300 for the Ham Fighters this past year with 17 home runs. Slider lifted in the air, left field. Andrew Jones there making the catch. No advance by the base runners.
Good defense by Andrew Jones, playing center field, way on the left field side of center field, knowing the only opportunity that they had to hit the ball in the air was just going to be a looping line drive into left center field. Played perfectly as far as his defense was concerned.
Well, with a lot of right-handers up, and one of them a power hitter in Akiri Ito, Mike Hargrove might be thinking about getting Plesac out of there, because Dan mainly will face left-handers. Plesac brings it, and there's a slider, and it bounces, and Kendall keeps it in front of him. Well, Mike Hargrove, he is mic'd. NTV has a mic for this game, and let's listen in.
Let's see if Gordon's as close to being ready. I might use him this inning to get an out or two.
Talking about Tommy Gordon down in the pen.
And that was Rich Dower, one of his base coaches, and came in to visit with him.
Who's ready?
Just found out Tom's ready.
He's ready. He's ready.
There's Leo Mazzoni, the pitching coach for the Atlanta Braves, and the Major League Baseball All-Stars pitching coach here.
Let's go get him after this hit. Okay.
Been having a little bit of trouble with the phone, so they've been having to communicate with runners. I don't know if when they call down to the bullpen, maybe a Japanese guy's answering the phone. They don't know how to talk to each other.
Well, the battle is between Plesac and Akiri Ito. Akiri Ito got it inside, and he pops it up in on his hands, and Garcia Parra takes care of it. So 2 outs after the first 2 men reached, but Mike Hargrove again. I wonder if he's going to go to Tom Gordon or stay with Dan.
Now go ahead. He's not ready.
Now, once again, some of the communication problems. They thought Tom Gordon was ready to pitch. Now he's not.
We'll let him go. It's not up here.
They're going to leave Plesac in.
Got two lefties coming up next.
Well, they've got to watch Toshihiro Noguchi. Good hitter for the Nippon Ham Fighters.
Now the last pitch from Plesac to Ato was a great pitch.
Line drive, Garcia Parra! You're watching the 1998 Major League Baseball Japan All-Star Series on Fox Sports Net. Due to time constraints, we move ahead to further action in the bottom of the 8th inning. And the new pitcher is Akinori Otsuka, the top closer in the Japanese Baseball League. 35 saves this year. He will face the great Andrew Jones of the Atlanta Braves. High fastball to Andrew can be dangerous.
Andrew Jones just 21 years old. Now you look at the numbers that he had this year: 271, 31 bombs, 90 RBIs. He also had 27 stolen bases to go along with that. Got to think that next year he'll probably will be a 30-30 man.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's no question, because he does have blazing speed as well. Curveball fouled back. It was his knowledge of the strike zone. He was able to be pitched too early in the year, at the end of the year. I don't think so. He got the power back, got the confidence back. Here is Otsuka, 2.11 earned run average with 35 saves. Played for the Kintetsu Buffaloes, only 26 years old. He was a rookie in '97, was a right-handed setup guy that year for Buffalo, but '98 became the closer, and he was brilliant. He and Kazuhiro Sasaki of the Yokohama Bay Stars, really the two best closers in Japan. Good fastball, but just misses the corner.
He's got that little hesitation in the delivery, as a lot of the Japanese pitchers do. Starts his motion and stops.
Well, if Andrew Jones reaches, I believe that hesitation will stop. He may go to the slide step because Jones has that kind of speed.
Watch the pause right there.
Well, that's the way you teach a little leaguer. You say target, balance, explode, and that's the balance point.
The only real knock on Andrew Jones has been his concentration level and his dedication to having that concentration on every given day when he comes to the ballpark. Just 21. He's going to learn sooner or later.
Fastball low. He had the count his way. 0-2. Now it's full, and he has lost him. 3-2 count. Misses low at the fastball. Andrew Jones is on. Now, I don't believe Mr. Otsuka will be throwing that hesitation. Here's Nomar Garciaparra's defense. Wonderful defensively. He can hit as well. 20 game-winning RBIs this year. So many of them over the Green Monster.
After his
Southern California.
After his rookie season, I wasn't so sure that he could duplicate those numbers, and he came out and had even a better year. Just sky's the limit for the kind of talent that this guy has.
Went to Georgia Tech, an All-American, and I know it seems like each time he steps to the plate, we talk about the routine he goes through, but you've got to feel comfortable at the plate. Garciaparra, boy, that fastball from Otsuka thrown right past Nomar.
He says that whole routine just a matter of having everything fit tightly. Likes his toes to be at the end of his shoes. He likes his fingers to be at the end of his gloves. Then he feels good, and then he just goes out and hacks.
Otsuka has lost that hesitation point. Garciaparra knocks it foul. It is ball and 2 strikes going to the corner as Ichiro Suzuki climbs the wall. You know what? He can style.
It must be the shoes. I don't know how many millions of people are in Japan, but he's the most eligible bachelor in Japan. That's got to be a good thing.
I like the way he plays the game with a flair. He's like the Ricky Henderson of the Japanese baseball leagues. You got to have that style.
He knows what he means to this league.
He had no chance at that ball in the stands, but climb the wall, hang there for a little while, give the fans something to ooh and ah over.
I don't know, when you win the batting title 5 straight years, you were the MVP for 3 straight years from 94 to 96, when you have the highest batting average ever recorded by a Japanese player in 1994 when he hit 385. You can jump up on some walls when you have no chance to catch the ball and still look good doing it.
But now he's watching from right field. Andrew Jones at first base. 2-2 is the count. Let's see if Andrew goes. Who could pitch, and he strikes out Nomar Garcia-Parra with a good fastball. This guy's got excellent stuff. Now Damian Easley, who came in defensively for Fernando Vina in the 6th inning. He'll be hitting for the first time. Excuse me, for the 2nd time. Lined out at the second baseman his first time up.
Easley got hit in the wrist on the top of his hand. In an earlier ball game, had to leave the game. Fernando Vina took over for him. Good thing that was not a serious injury. He's back in there playing.
And Easley goes after the first pitch, lifts it in the air. Center field Hideki Matsui makes the catch, and he throws it back to the infield. 2 outs. So now with 2 outs, how do you play it if you're Mike Hargrove?
Well, the same way the Japanese teams have been playing. I think that with 2 outs, become much more aggressive, try to get your guys into scoring position. With an all-star type team, Jason Kendall leading off the next inning is not a bad thing. 10-7 now the score. They used to have the big lead. You kind of shut down your running game, but I'd put Jones in motion again.
Jones goes. There's the pitch. There, throw to second base. Not nearly in time. My goodness, he had a great jump. The U.S. was 0 for 3 in steals.
Watch the jump that Jones gets. Oh, tremendous leg action there. No wasted motion, no little slide step, just very quick to his first step. You know, you steal bases with your first 2 steps, not your last 10.
Now Otsuka must focus in on Jason Kendall, and he throws that fastball in the outside corner. He's been consistently hitting that outside spot, particularly right 90 miles an hour.
All about location when you're pitching, especially against an all-star type team. Rick Helling said it best. He said, we have a great lineup. If you're going to make mistakes, you're going to get hurt. If you make the pitches, you can get these guys out.
And there's a ground ball towards second base, taken care of by Ishii. That will do it. Major League Baseball All-Stars do not score. Ahi yesterday. Ooh, he says it is marvelous.
Says tastes like chicken.
No, it doesn't. It tastes better than chicken. And that ball by Matsuki is fouled off. Hideki Matsui, who has grounded out, lined out, flied out, and reached on an infield hit. And this Trevor Hoffman had a fabulous year this year. 148 earned run average, 53 of 54 in save opportunities. He just explodes with that fastball.
You were talking about his ability to pitch at night. His record at nighttime was just unbelievable, and a lot of the playoff and World Series games came in the afternoon or twilight. Didn't fare nearly as well and had a couple of rough outings.
Allowed only 1 run in 43 night games. And look at that pitch. Great changeup to the great power hitter of the Japan leagues.
Well, Trevor Hoffman, look at the changeup. It's a circle change grip. Look at his middle finger actually off of the ball. Look at the rotation of the ball. It goes down and away, and he has the same arm speed. He developed his reputation with a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, then picked up the change and perfected it. Now he's got both of those weapons. He makes it almost unfair to have to hit against him.
So batting second now, Nakamura, who came on to pinch hit in the 7th inning. The executive producers of Fox Sports Net are Arthur Smith and Bill Borson. The coordinating producer for Major League Baseball Japan All-Star Series is Larry Myers. Tonight's game is produced by Steve Elkin. The supervising producer in Tokyo is Jeff Proctor. The production manager is Ron Grelnick. And A swing and a miss by Nakamura. And again, Hoffman has everything his way. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Now here's where he just has so many weapons that he can do.
Ichiro, 3 hits in this game. Not too many smiles as the Japan All-Stars are down by 3 runs with 1 out, nobody on in the 9th inning. Ground ball hit to third. Backhanded by Vinny Castilla. 1 out away from victory. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted without written consent. Well, just 1 out away from taking this All-Star series 2 games to none as Ichiro takes the shoe off and digs in as they'll prepare for Game 3 tomorrow night.
Now, did you see that
Nakashima is the manager.
I think he had to recharge those shoes. There's so many colors, and I think it plugs in somewhere in between games.
Put a battery in, light them up. Here is Atsushi Karaoka, who doubled in a run in that 5-run 6th inning. Hoffman was in front of Matsui, struck him out. Was in front of Nakamura, got him on a ground ball to third, and now has the count 1 ball and 1 strike to Karaoka with Eto waiting on deck. Another changeup outside corner, and all of a sudden the count is Hoffman's way. 1-2.
Look at the change. Look at the grip. Oh, what a great pitch. So much great movement to the outside part of the plate.
Oh. He has been death against them in the 9th inning. 3 up, 3 down, and the Major League Baseball All-Stars win it as Ichiro heads to the showers. A 10-7 triumph for the Major League Stars.
That's a great game here. Also a great comeback by the Japanese All-Stars. They ended up with 13 hits, and they did it by hanging around in the strike zone, fouling pitches off, and then just getting base hits and chipping away at the lead of the All-Stars.
And 2 home runs by Carlos Delgado, who is receiving congratulations. A 3-run blast in the 1st inning, a 2-run shot in the 4th inning. And the winning pitcher is Rick Helling as the Major League Baseball All-Stars win 10-7. We'll come back to close out our show right after this.
Tonight on Fox.
4-5. The series moves south to Fukuoka for game number 3. The Major Leaguers got it started early. 1st inning, Andrew Jones hits a double to right center field, followed by Nomar Garcia-Parra's single to right. That set up Sammy Sosa coming to the plate, and he hit this sacrifice fly. The Major League Baseball All-Stars would go up 1-0. But the Japanese would respond in the bottom of the inning. Takuro Ashii steals his way into scoring position moments later. Ichiro Suzuki would come to the plate, one of the real stars of Japan baseball, singling up the middle to score Ashii easily, and we are tied at 1. Ichiro would then use his speed to steal 2nd and 3rd. But it really did not matter as Godzilla, Hideki Matsui, would take this Al Leiter offering deep. It was the first Japanese home run of the series. Japan would go up 3-1, and we finally got a smile from Hideki Matsui. Later, the Japanese would continue to run. Kazuo Matsui would steal 2nd, then he would steal 3rd, and would score on Javier Lopez's wild throw to get him. Japan would take a 4-1 lead. Matsui would then later get it done with the bat. He places this RBI triple perfectly between 3rd and short. 2 runs would score. Japan goes up 6-1. And that was more than enough for the Japan All-Stars as Satoru Komiyama and Akinori Atsuka would come in to keep the Major League lumber at bay. Japan wins it 6-2 to make the series 2-1. The Major League Baseball All-Stars. We go to game 4, and Sammy Sosa looked to give the Osaka crowd its money's worth. Kurt Schilling started for the Major Leaguers and was masterful for 5 innings, giving up 4 hits and striking out 4. The Major Leaguers would lose this on the base pass, though. Following Devon White's steal of 3rd, he would be tagged out on Fernando Vigna's ground ball. The game remains scoreless until the top of the 6th inning. The Japanese have the bases loaded on 2 walks and a single, and Ichiro delivers a sacrifice fly to score Omura. Japan goes up 1-0. And that is all they would need. Tetsuro Kawahira baffled the major leaguers with his sidearm delivery, giving up 4 hits over 8 1/3 innings. Once again, it would be Okanori Otsuka to close the game. Bottom of the 9th inning, 1 out. Jason Kendall, Otsuka hits the fly ball to center. Nomar Garciaparra, he tags, comes home with the play, but the throw by Suzuki throws him out, and Japan goes on to win it 1-0. Shigeo Nagashima is pleased. Game 5 in Osaka. Sammy Sosa celebrated his 30th birthday with the people of Osaka and would single in his first at-bat as a 30-year-old off Japanese starter Shigeki Noguchi. In the 3rd inning, Andrew Jones would start the scoring as this sacrifice fly would score Jason Giambi, who doubled earlier in the inning. Major League Baseball All-Stars go up 1-0. Jamie Moyer went 5 innings of scoreless baseball with the help of good defense like this sparkling play by Nomar Garciaparra. And how about that birthday guy, Sammy Sosa, led off the 9th with a double off reliever Kanea Kobayashi. Following a wild pitch, Vinny Castilla would come to the plate, and he would bring Sosa home with this sacrifice fly. The Major League All-Stars go up 2-0. Trevor Hoffman would get the call in the bottom of the 9th inning with 2 on and 1 out, and powerful Hideki Matsui at the plate. Matsui would line out to second base, and Damian Easley would double up Takuro Ishii at second to end the game. The Major League Baseball All-Stars win it 2-0 and now lead the series 3-2. But so many Japanese fans